What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Coffee and Headphones. My name is Caleb,
My name is Trevor.
and we have a trade deadline podcast for y'all. We originally had this scheduled for after the trade deadline, but my man Trevor could not contain himself as the West is getting better and the Nuggets find themselves in a free fall, essentially, just due to the talent increase. We'll get to the Nuggets in a second, but I think we absolutely have to start with Kevin Durant being traded to the Suns for Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, and 4 first-round picks and 1 pick swap. Trevor, what the heck just happened?
That's a great question, Caleb. I feel very blindsided by the league. I don't think they should allow this type of stuff. The Suns keeping D Book, CP3, and getting KD
And
is
keeping Aiton.
ridiculous. They're keeping all their best players. The Nets are obviously deciding to tank this year. No offense to any of the guys that they got, because I do love Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, UNC player, and then the guys that are already there as well. Cam Thomas, that man putting up 40 a night.
He's a bucket.
Nets are still good, but we're talking a super team essentially in Phoenix, and then of course the Mavs. And
Yeah,
I'll let you
Kyrie.
say your thoughts about
I
Phoenix
will.
first,
I
because
will.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm tripping right now.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. This is a trade that went through about 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I wake up and I do my thing, I get ready and I check my phone and the first thing I see is Kevin Durant in a Phoenix jersey. Like what? Actually on No Dunks, I got like a trade, like a notification from the YouTube. I was like, "Oh no, is this real?" So it's crazy that they got Kevin Durant basically for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and picks because Jay Crowder wasn't playing for them anyway. They
At all
traded
yet.
away, the Suns traded away essentially their whole wing rotation from last year's playoffs, but they still have Torrey Craig, Shamit, Okogie, and obviously the probably best wing in basketball right now, Kevin Durant, has joined their team. Under contract for a long time. Devin Booker is under contract for a long time. Aiton's under contract for a long time. Chris Paul until I think next summer. This is looking crazy, man. We all blame John Morant for saying that the West was essentially weak. Man, he's eating those words right now, bro. Everybody is getting better. The Lakers made a huge trade, the Mavericks, like you said. But I wanted to talk about Brooklyn real quick because they essentially took 2 years to build a super team. Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, one by one, requested trades. First Harden was out. Then KD requested a trade in the summer. They said, nah, he stuck around. Kyrie requested a trade last week. He's got shipped away almost immediately. And now Kevin Durant. So to the Nets, I
The
have to say, congratulations. You traded all of your first round draft picks, and now your team is bunched. So good
the
luck with that.
the Nets with arguably the biggest fumble in the NBA since Dennis Schroeder. Um, like what the heck is happening, man? I don't understand those New York teams at all. The Knicks, as we know, is a team that's known for doing things like this, and Brooklyn was like, "Huh, let us try." And they succeeded. Now they're left with Ben Simmons, a
Yeah.
guy that
I
has not
forgot
lived
how
up
to
to the
play
hype.
basketball.
He hasn't played basketball. And KD and Kyrie both said minute things about him that made us feel like he was part of the problem, and
Yeah.
he's the part that they chose to keep. Shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie, though. Glad he's back in
Yeah.
Brooklyn. I think he'll excel there.
And
But
like you
yeah, dude.
said, Cam Thomas, he's a real basketball player at least.
Yep. Cam Thomas.
And they got good play like Mikal Bridges, man. I know he's not like the flashiest player, but
He's solid.
he's
He
never
hasn't
missed a
missed a
game.
game.
Yeah. He's great at defense. He's kind of like an OG and an Obi type where I don't think you want him to be your best player, but maybe third option, fourth option on a contending team is great. Unfortunately, he probably is their best player right now because Ben Simmons is worse than Mason Plumlee, as the reports say.
I would say that we'll get a lot more from Cam Thomas than we expect in it. I saw a thing comparing it to Lynn Sanity. I don't think so. I
Yeah, I
think it's
saw
going to
that
be
too.
something that has some longevity. I think Cam Thomas is really that good.
Let's hope so for the
Heard
Nets.
it
And
here
Cam
first.
Johnson too. He's a really good player.
Yeah,
I have a lot of love for Cam Johnson. He's not as young as people think. I believe he's like 27, maybe
no,
28.
I believe he came to the league the same year Marcus Page graduated. Uh, I may be wrong about that, but if so, that was a while
Cam
ago.
Johnson was in the Kobe White draft, so 2018. Because
Okay,
the
okay,
Kobe meme of Cam getting drafted.
yes, yes. But let's move on to the Mavs. Um, the Mavs also just got
A
scary
lot
good all
better.
of a sudden. It went from like, okay, the Mavs have this amazing superstar, but they're not going to be a contender to, well, the Mavs can make it to the Western Conference Finals.
And they did
And
last year without
yeah,
Kyrie.
and all this stuff with Kyrie off the court, it doesn't matter. I think this man really is trying to just play basketball again. And I think Dallas is sort of a perfect place to do that. You
Yes,
get
I was
away from
thinking
a
the
lot of
same thing.
nonsense, and you can just go play basketball. And
Yeah.
I think those fans are going to support them. And I think the Mavs won that trade.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely. They essentially only gave up was it one first round pick, right? And then Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith, who to their credit, like they're solid players, but they're role players. Kyrie is a superstar.
now, I,
No way around it.
I want to blame Ja Morant, but I can't help but blame Brooklyn. I don't understand
Yeah.
why, I guess. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't working for him, like, and it wasn't going to work because of the team chemistry. Uh, and then let's not forget what the Lakers did, man. This has been a crazy
Let's
trade
talk
deadline
about
for
it.
the West Coast.
Let's talk about it. Let me pull up the trade just so I don't get anything wrong because that was a very complicated trade with a
That
lot of
was a
moving
three
parts.
three team trade, right?
Three-team trade, and I keep learning more about the trade as time goes on. But I think we have all the pieces now. You ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So Lakers received D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jarrett Vanderbilt. Three really solid players. The Jazz received Russell Westbrook and a lightly protected, I think top four protected first round pick from the Lakers in 2027. The
Mm-hmm.
Timberwolves received Mike Conley, Nikhil Alexander Walker, and 3 second-round picks. So where do you want to start?
We'll start in LA, I guess. Russ is Russ is an amazing talent. I give Russ a lot of credit. I think people hate on Russ way too much. Russ is the second leading triple double scorer. Or as far as triple doubles go, I believe he's second out of all the players playing right now.
In first all
Um,
time.
Russ is
I think Russ
still
is
really
first.
good. Russ has had a pretty efficient year this year. Um, he's scoring triple doubles off the bench, and he's doing it and helping his team win. But the Lakers won that trade. I
Yeah.
mean, that was as good as they were going to get.
Yeah.
And then they decided to go out and get some young talent that can play around LeBron. And I think they won that trade by far.
Yeah.
Utah is not even planning on keeping Russell Westbrook, and I
No,
don't think
there's reports that Chicago's interested. The Clippers are interested, so we'll see what happens there.
it would be a good idea for Utah to keep Russell
And
Westbrook.
Russ does not want to play with the Utah
Um,
fans.
but yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Jared Vanderbilt. I think he's a great two-way player. Malik Beasley's awesome. D'Lo has been shooting the best he's shot in years, I think
Yeah,
ever, maybe.
yeah, your
Uh,
boy.
the Lakers won this trade
The
for
Lakers
sure.
won this trade, and you said Russ was contributing to winning. I think the problem was he wasn't. He really wasn't. The Lakers are not even in the play-in tournament right now. And part of that, at least, is on Russ. I think there's a lot of issues with it. But making this roster trade, I mean, making this trade for this new roster is such a big step up for the Lakers because now it's like, okay, LeBron is running the offense. It's undeniable. They can still run. D'Lo can still run it. Schroeder can still run it. Patrick Beverly has been playing a lot better. He started off the season
Yeah.
awful, but he's shooting, I think, 39% from three over his last 20 games or so. So they have options now where they can run out a guard rotation if they want to, or LeBron can just go to work. I think this is a lot more what you want to see with LeBron, just shooters. And then Jared Vanderbilt can play the five, so Anthony Davis' body can hold up a little bit more in the playoffs. Are they a contender? I still don't think so.
No,
Um, no, I think they're the 13th seed or something like that right now. So they got some work to do to even get into the play-in
they got some
tournament.
work to do, and the West has gotten better.
They can maybe
The
win a play-in, but I don't
the
think they can win a first round.
I think the West overall got better than the Lakers did, but I do think the Lakers won that trade.
Yes, and let's talk about the Timberwolves side of things too. Mike Conley, vet point guard. I think he has
Yeah,
a team option, or
I
maybe a
love Mike
player
Conley.
option. I love him too. I think we kind of have a image of Mike Conley where he's a little bit better than he is currently because he's not playing as great, but he's still a vet
No,
leader and he has chemistry with Gobert. They're hoping that a 35-year-old Mike Conley can unlock a 30-year-old Gobert that they traded everything for. So maybe the Timberwolves do something there. Anthony Edwards is now undoubtedly their closer. So
yeah,
you love to see that. Cat is coming back soon. And they got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who I am high on. I think a lot of teams haven't utilized him well, like anywhere he's been. But maybe the Timberwolves are the right team to do that. There's also talks that they may want Bones Highland, maybe for Naz Reid. But now they can maybe pay Naz Reid a little bit more without D'Lo's contract. So we'll see what's happening around 3 o'clock today.
yeah. I mean, I think that brings us to what I want to talk about.
I think
uh,
it has to.
I think it has to. I mean, all these trades, I mean, really, almost all of them are blockbuster trades. These are big names.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
you had
are.
Josh Hart leave,
Josh Hart,
and
right?
you
Jakob
had like
Pertl.
Jakob Pertl, you had Kendrick Nunn, like
So
people
the
like that.
the Trailblazers are probably going down into the lottery again.
Trailblazers are going down. I'd say the Jazz are continuing to go down.
Yeah,
Um, Memphis has looked really weird lately.
Memphis and New Orleans and the team that we're about to talk about are all in contention for OG and Anobi right now. So if one of those teams make a trade, it's looking a lot different in the West because he's really that good at defense. He can guard one of these blockbuster players that just got traded.
and I think that's what all those teams need, a defender that can guard somebody like that. But I think there's one team that needs it more than the others because they have some solid defensive players, but they don't have like, okay, this guy is a defensive
The
like
go-to
lockdown
stopper.
player.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is my team, number one in the West,
Yeah.
number one in the league, the Denver Nuggets.
Before the last 72 hours, or really before the last 24 hours, the undeniable favorites out of the West, I think. But things have changed. And the name Kevin Durant is now in the West again. So how you feeling about that, Nuggets fan?
I I'm a, I don't know. I mean, in my mind, obviously, I still have the Nuggets as the favorite. I want to compare them, even though they're the number one seed, so it's a little bit different. But I want to compare them to the Mavericks the year that Dirk won. We have a really solid, amazing talent. MVP back to back, about to be for
Mhm.
the third time. Nikola Jokic, which Dirk was that amazing talent on that Dallas Mavericks team. And then we have some amazing role players, and we have somebody who's playing the best basketball of his life. Kitchener's finest, Jamal Murray. The
Yes, sir.
disrespect on his name is crazy. No one ever talks about him. He's averaging 30 plus in his last like 5 or 6 games. This man's also averaging a career high in assists, career high in rebounds, and you got Nikola Jokic averaging a triple double. You got AG shooting one of the most efficient field goal percentages he's shot of his career. The
Mhm.
team chemistry is amazing there. MPJ just scored 30, but he's part of trades that may go through. Um, I think the Nuggets are still okay. I think the West has definitely gotten harder. And I think we do need to make one trade for a defensive player. But I don't want to get rid of any of our three key pieces. If we can make a trade like the Suns just did, that would be amazing. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. I think we need to do something though. Um, our defense has gotten a lot better. Just so everybody knows, like beginning of the year, we were ranked like bottom 5. Over the last 15 games or so, we've been in the top 10 of defenses. So that's really encouraging. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. The Nuggets are I believe number 2 in defensive rating over the last 10 games. So they've stepped it up a lot. Um, Jamal Murray, like you mentioned, he's playing well. He's still, you look at his counting stats and they're still not really impressive 16, 5.5, and 4. But it's really over since the turn of the year. He's turned it on a lot. And the last few games, especially, he's been balling. Having said that, he hasn't played a full season in 3 years now. And you just kind of have to wonder how his stamina will hold up throughout the postseason, how his legs will
Oh,
hold up.
I will say almost everybody that we mentioned in those trades also has not played a full season in almost 3 years.
Right, right.
So
Kevin Durant has had injury issues since he's been in Brooklyn, essentially. But to his credit, 2 of those injuries are just people falling on his leg and dislocating his knee. So not really much you can do to condition that. As far as the Nuggets are concerned, I am now more than ever in the camp that they need to make the OG trade. They need someone to try to contend with these wings on the West who are big bodies. Like even Luca, a point guard, he's 6'7". Like he's a big body. You have
no
AG
one
who
on the
can
Nuggets
guard.
is guarding KD or Luca. It's
No,
just not happening.
no. You have AG who's like a good defender, but he's not like an elite defender, especially one on one. So you have to have some sort of concern there with the holes and the team because this is a really solid, promising year for the Nuggets. Jokic is playing the best he's ever played, to your point. And I think now is the time. We've heard from Jokic before. He doesn't really care about getting an MVP right now. He just
He
wants
wants
that
to win a title.
championship because he knows that's what's important and that's what will put him on the Kawhi level. So shout out to Jokic. Now, if you're a Nuggets fan, what are you willing to give up for OG? Or is there someone else that you want? Is there someone else who can fit this roster as currently constructed?
I think the greatest part about the Nuggets versus all these other teams is if you actually watch basketball and you're not a stat watcher, you see the chemistry on the Nuggets is maybe the highest in the league out of any team. The chemistry is insane, and everybody that's been
What
playing
about
with
the
me,
Kings? Just to throw
the
them in
Kings are
there.
good, bro. The Kings are good. The chemistry is there. I love De'Aaron Fox. I love Sabonis. I think they're both extremely talented. I don't think they have other pieces in place to win.
To
I don't.
contend. Right.
No,
No,
and
I have to
they're
agree.
they're number 3 in the West.
Mm-hmm.
But that's subject to change for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Clippers are on a winning streak. I mean,
Clippers are on a winning streak, and they might get Russ in the buyout
look at the
market.
Grizzlies, look at the Pelicans. The number 2 and number 3 team in the West are nowhere to be found. Um, so I mean, I think OG is a good fit. But realistically, I don't know if there's a starter that I would trade 1 for 1 for OG. I think
Wow.
it would have to be a multi-guy trade, and I'd be willing to give up a stupid contract in MPJ and give up one of our rising stars, Bones Highland, for OG and maybe like a couple first round picks.
Yeah,
But
you're definitely not
realistically,
getting picks back for the MPJ contract and the guy who's not playing in Bones.
what is the Raptors record?
Uh, playing, playing right now. But Masai Ujiri sees OG as like a phenomenal asset, and every team apparently wants OG. So I think it'll cost picks to get him. Definitely, I think the Raptors might be going into a soft rebuild around Scotty Barnes, so they'll be wanting future assets. I think
I
Bones
sort
is a
of,
good player for them, and I think MPJ could be, but it's just very risky.
but I don't really care to get OG specifically because he's not worth more than that to me
Okay,
as a
so who else
Nuggets
would you want?
fan. Um, I
I
don't
think
even know
Herb
who's.
Jones is being floated around. I don't know if the Pelicans want to give him up, especially to another Western team. But he's like OG light.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but even then, like giving up, you gotta remember like MPJ is looked at in at least the Denver organization as, I mean, we're paying him $30 million a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he did just drop 30 points on like 75% shooting, which is what we expect from him moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is I don't know if the Nuggets are willing to give up much. So maybe we go with like a lesser defender, but a good defender. Because the thing that the Nuggets, the reason we're so high on defending now, we
Mm-hmm.
haven't made any trades for any new players. Our team defending is high. You
Yeah.
see KCP making plays. You see Bruce Brown.
KCP
You
is
see
being
a
a good player.
7 foot Serbian who's a back-to-back MVP diving on the floor for loose balls. I mean, you see a team that really
I'm
wants
gonna
to
be
win.
honest, I haven't seen that. I've seen a lot more of the kicks from the Serbian.
You haven't seen him dive on the floor,
No,
bro?
you have to
You
send me
haven't
that.
watched enough Nuggets games.
No, I can only
Um,
watch what I can watch on League Pass.
yeah, I mean, number one in deflections, and that doesn't include kickballs, by the way, for Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
Man's
He's
averaging
probably number
over.
one in kickballs too.
Yeah, oh, without a doubt. I think he may all-time leader for kickballs. He's averaging over a steal a game, just a little under a block over the past like 20
Yeah.
games, 25 games. He's really stepped it up defensively for him. He'll never
Yeah.
be an elite defender, but he can definitely defend any big. He's going to be an advantage in the West and the East.
Oh,
There's no big
yeah.
better. I mean, maybe Joel Embiid.
He's got the
Not,
defense for
I
sure.
don't think Joel Embiid's better than Jokic, but I think he's probably the
He's on
closest.
par. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Closest.
What about there's a couple other names that have been loosely linked to the Nuggets, one more than other, that being Nasrid,
Yeah.
that we touched on. He's got a lot of hustle, a lot of grit, a lot of steam. And then another hustle player, a guard from my team, Caruso, has been loosely connected to the Nuggets, more so the Warriors. But how would you feel about either of those trades?
See, I would love to have Caruso. I think he would be a net plus without a doubt.
Without a
But
doubt.
I
Yeah.
don't see what we're going to give up on our starting lineup for Caruso.
Yeah,
I
no,
just don't.
it
And
would
I know
have to
Bulls
be like
fans are going to want
the
somebody from our
Bulls
starting lineup.
fans want
And
the world for Caruso.
and there's nobody that I'm sorry, like Caruso's a great defender. He's really good at basketball, but there's nobody on that
Champion.
starting lineup that I would want to. I mean, okay, there's
Champion. Put some
okay,
respect on his name.
there's nobody. So is KCP though, and that's
Yeah,
the only guy
for
that I
sure.
can maybe see
Yeah.
trading for Caruso. And
And
realistically,
KCP got benched for Caruso in the finals, so I don't
and
think.
KCP is the number one
And he's
3 point.
older, and I don't think the Bulls have much interest in him. So I
No,
don't see a trade really there.
I don't think we're gonna get an elite defender, but I think we can get a really good defender that can come off the bench. Christian Brown is a rookie that's he's not known very well
Yeah,
by
but
anybody
I heard the Raptors are also interested in him.
because he's an amazing defender
Yeah,
and
and he
he's a
fits the
hustle player.
Raptors culture.
He's not a stat stuffer by any means, but he is a hustle player. In that game where our 4 starters were out, I believe he was our leading scorer. And he did it on like 50+% from the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he had 2 or 3 steals or something. But I could see us getting rid of a lot of our bench to get a B+ defender. So
Now
maybe not like
you
an A
don't
defender.
really have a deep bench as is. Oh, another trade just came through. You ready? Blockbuster. Mike
Let's hear it.
Muscala for Justin Jackson and 2 second-round picks.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, not as blockbuster as I expected. I can deal with that one. No, we don't really have a ton on the bench. But our bench unit has been playing well together. I mean, I think Bruce Brown is our best player off the bench, I would say.
Yeah, probably.
And honestly, if he got the chance to play, Bones would be.
Bones was, yeah.
Bones is very good.
Mike Malone is tanking Bones' value quite a bit because I think if he continued to play this season, he would be, you would want a first round pick for him at least. Now, I don't know if teams are willing to give up a first round pick. He's obviously talented, but he's got a bad perception now, mainly
Look,
due to Mike Malone not playing him.
but if you look at the players or talk to the players or see any other players in the NBA talk about Bones, they all have great things to say. Um, you're
Sorry, I
muted.
was muted. Yeah, yeah, I saw that. I said, yeah, they have great things to say about Melo too. Like they have great things to say about a lot of players,
Yeah,
which is
and
why they vote on people like Drew Holiday for the All Star game.
when as a Nuggets fan, I love Bones, but let's be realistic. What's our team record? I mean, Mike Malone knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
That he does. I mean, he's taken opportunities. I mean, he's played Zeke Naji over DeAndre Jordan. Wonderful call, by the way. DeAndre Jordan sucks. If we can get rid of him for free, I would. But like Bones, he's played like Christian Brown over Bones. He's played Ish Smith over Bones. And it's
yeah.
like you look at it, you're like, dude, what are you doing? But then you look at the Nuggets record and you're like, okay, well, I guess that's why he's the coach.
But don't
So
they have a better record with Bones playing than without Bones playing?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
So okay, we can't spend the whole time on the Nuggets, but long story short, who do you want on the team? Or do you want to just stay put and try again? See, like write it out this year, see what happens, and then maybe in the summer move some pieces if you have to.
I think with the chemistry this team has, if everybody's playing at their highest level, we win the NBA championship as is.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. I would love it. I've become a de facto Nuggets fan. Uh, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Now, moving out east, the East is getting really weird because Brooklyn is like this weird modge podge of role players. But you have other teams making little moves around the edges. The Raptors getting Pirtle back. I don't know what their plan is there. Pirtle's on an expiring deal. I'm sure he'll resign, but Raptors have moved into the plan. The Celtics are the 1 seed, 39 and 16 this year. The Bucks are right behind them. The Sixers are right there. The Cavs are still around. The Nets are the 5 seed, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But the Bulls are the 9 seed. So I wanted to talk about the Bulls a little bit. We're in a really weird position because we don't own our pick for this year unless it falls to the top four. But if it doesn't, then it'll go to Orlando. So we can't really miss the playoffs essentially. Like we kind of have to make it. So I was wondering if there's some sort of trade we could do. The biggest issue with this team is we don't have a starting point guard still. Lonzo Ball's been out since early January of last year. And that's, heavily affected us. Now you can make the argument that one player missing shouldn't affect your team this much. And I agree. But Lonzo is like essentially a superstar role player. Like he will facilitate, defend incredible. He's like that glue guy, but like on another level. Which leads us to the question: should the Bulls hold on to Lonzo and hope that he comes back the same player, or should we try to look to move his contract for someone who could replace him? And also, should the Bulls be interested in Russ, like the reports say?
So this is a lot of for whatever reason, it reminds me a lot of the Nuggets without Jamal.
Hmm.
Different,
Because
obviously.
Vucevic is on that level.
No, it's different, obviously. But it does remind me a lot of it. You have people saying that we should trade Jamal or cut his contract short, do what we could to get rid of him. He may not be the same when he gets back. And then you had, like Jokic holding the team up. You guys have like three guys that equal Jokic holding your team up right now, sort of just keeping
Basically.
you on limbo. but you still need all the pieces, right? They're called pieces for a reason. Take out a piece of a puzzle, the puzzle's not complete.
Mhm. So we're trying to do a puzzle without the starting piece.
I would say I'm not a huge fan of like somebody gets hurt and being like, all right, let's move on. But it
Mhm.
is a business and it is the
Mhm.
NBA, and some guys come back the same, some come back worse, some come back better, like
Yeah.
Jamal has. Um, I would say that you guys are going to be a play-in team at best this year, and this year is not the year. It needs to be a move for next year.
Mhm.
With that being said, as much as everyone loves Caruso, and there's this hilarious joke that he's the GOAT, um,
Not a
you
joke.
should you should try to get as much as you can from a Caruso trade from
Mm.
somebody.
Mm.
And realistically, there are some good guys out there. If you guys could find a trade for Caruso where you can get like a very solid 3-and-D player, because Caruso is an amazing defender,
Yeah.
and he is the hustle guy. That's why everybody loves him.
Yeah.
But he's not exactly like a 3-point sniper. I think I watched a game the other night. In the third quarter, he had his first 2 points. As much
Yeah.
as it's great to have a hustle
Didn't you
player,
didn't you also watch the game the other night where you're like Caruso can't shoot and he had 4 threes, 4 for 4?
maybe, but the consistency of that is what you
Mhm.
guys need
Yeah,
when
no,
you
and
don't
he's
have a
like he's a
starting point
fine
guard.
this is the Bulls' problem as a whole. We are fine percentage-wise shooting three, but the volume is not there. That's why the Buddy Hield Miles Turner trade made some sense, for Vucevic or whatever. Right now, here's my opinion. If you trade Caruso, you might as well trade DeMar, maybe trade Vooch. You go all in because
Try to
Caruso
get
is
some younger players.
try to get some younger players. You can maybe, talk yourself into building around Zach again, just in a different structure. Um, for me, you're right. I think, yeah, this year's not the year, but that's why the question of, okay, do we just like hold on to Lonzo and see if he can come back next year and be as healthy as possible? This is a guy who he has gotten better every year he's been in the NBA, but he's also had injuries every year he's been in the NBA. And that's scary. He's 25 years old. He's on a long-term contract, a decent contract for the Bulls. And he's not playing. So
And he's
you
not
have
even
to
the best player in his
and
family.
and his and his rehab has been so slow.
Yeah.
That's the big concern because he was supposed to miss 6 to 8 weeks initially last January, and now it's been
Like
13 months.
Brandon Ingram type vibe slow.
But
So
13 months is more than Brandon Ingram missed.
that's true. But his injury was more severe than a big toe.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, the Bulls are 20th in the league overall. They're ninth in the East right now, subject to change because the Raptors arguably just got better. I think Jakob Poeltl's a good talent, and he sort of
Yeah.
fits the Raptors roster
They
well.
needed a center.
You have Tyrese who's back, and the Pacers are 12th right now, but they have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of good pieces as well. They have
Yeah.
Buddy Hield, who's amazing. I
Yeah.
love Buddy Hield. They have
Who the
Tyrese. They have
Bulls
Miles
have
Turner.
been loosely connected to Buddy Hield and Miles Turner throughout the whole season and last summer. Um,
Miles
it
Turner would be a good
depends.
trade.
Miles Turner would be a good trade. It depends what the Pacers want to do because they do own their picks and they are the 12 seed right now. They're a couple games back of the Bulls. The Wizards are probably going for it, whatever that means for the Wizards. The Raptors, you don't know. The Bulls, I think, are trying to go for it just because we don't have our draft pick this year. Um, but to me, that it's just a big question mark of do we make trades? Because the front office has said all the core pieces are going to stick around, but the front office of the Nets also said Kevin Durant was not going to be traded. So you don't really know. You can't trust the front office. I think it kind of depends on where the team is. Earlier in the season, Zach and DeMar had that beef. Billy Donovan has caused friction throughout the team. So is he going to be the piece to get canned?
Well,
It's just a big
okay.
question mark.
Here's my big thing, right? You guys are sort of down there, and it's funny because a consistent theme that I see in teams that are ninth or lower, they're one of two things. They're either some of the youngest teams in the league or some of the older teams in the league. And you guys stand out because y'all are sort of like
We're both.
average age,
Yeah.
right? Which is not where you want to be. If you're going to be at that bottom tier, you want to at least have young guys to either grow with or trade, which you guys don't have. I mean, look at the
Not
Magic.
a lot.
The Magic are young.
Yeah.
They have some really good players. They're playing really good this year. You watch them play, it's like they play better than their record.
Yeah.
But the Spurs are young. The Rockets are young. The Hornets are young. Like all these teams, I mean,
yeah. We're not that bad though.
No, y'all are ninth. And
yeah.
Hold on, let me see. Y'all are 26 and 28. So y'all are below 500.
Yeah.
But
we got screwed on some calls. We should be above 500. But still, I think the big thing is like the Nets are probably going to fall. And I think the Bulls beat good teams. We actually play the Nets tonight. Bulls beat good teams. If we get into the play-in tournament, we could do anything. I really think so.
So it's the East is weird, but I think like the Bulls, I think they're better than the Hawks right now. Mm-hmm. I think they're better than the Knicks. We'll see what happens with trades and stuff. Mm-hmm. The Nets are realistically going to fall. The Pacers are better than the Bulls, in my opinion, and they're lower seeded right now.
The Nets just traded Jay Crowder to Milwaukee for 5 second-round picks.
People forget that Jay Crowder is really good at basketball. That should
Nuggets
be scary.
Made a trade.
Let's hear it.
Nuggets just got Thomas Bryant for Davion Reed and 3 second-rounders.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll take it. Mm-hmm. I'll take it because he's solid. We need a backup center. He played solid when AD was out. I liked him in Washington. And realistically,
he doesn't help your defense.
But Najee is really good at defense on bigger guys, and we can use him at the 4 now. Mm-hmm. That makes me very happy. So, in a way, he does help our defense.
Yeah.
We no longer have to play DeAndre Jordan, which is amazing. And Davion Reed really didn't get much playing time anyway. So that's a win. That's a dub.
There you go. Okay, so then you feel like the Nuggets are gonna wax the Suns now because of Thomas Bryant?
Before that trade, okay. I don't know if you guys know. The Nuggets have Nikola Jokic, okay?
It's true.
The best player in the NBA.
Yeah, this season he definitely has been.
The best player.
Him and Luka.
And highest IQ with one of the best team chemistries. That matters more than some stats. So I still am confident in the Nuggets. I think it's going to be harder. I don't think it's like a runaway train like it was. And I still obviously there's competition. You have the Celtics, you have the Bucks, but the West was not going to be easy by any means, but we were going to win the West probably. And now I'm still confident in it. Just there's stipulations, right? It's like everybody has to be healthy. Everyone has to play to their ability. Everybody's got to turnovers and free throws for the Nuggets, man. I mean, things that middle school basketball coaches go crazy about. It's the little things for the Denver Nuggets.
I wanted Jay Crowder on the Bulls. I'm not going to lie. He would have been very helpful. So let's hope Javonte Green comes back soon. He's basically Jay Crowder.
People forget Jay Crowder is good at basketball, man.
Jay Crowder has been to 2 finals and 2 conference finals on top of that, I believe.
There's a reason that he's still in the league, and even though he's sat out this whole year, people still wanted him. I'll just say that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, wow. Well, we should probably wrap this up. Who knows if more trades come through. If another blockbuster trade comes on, maybe we'll do like a bonus podcast. But thank you all so much for joining us. It's been a long time since we did an NBA podcast. I think about a month into the season. So this was long overdue. We'll be sure to sprinkle a few more in, especially as like the playoff race comes on here a little bit stronger
Mhm.
into the spring. So, any last thoughts, Trevor?
Go Nuggets.
Go Nuggets, go Bulls. Okay, thank y'all so much for joining us. You're the best. Follow us and peace, love, and pixie dust.